Sometimes the best stories in golf aren't found on tour. You'll find them at the back of the range. And here's your host, Ben Adelberg.
And thanks again for joining me here at the back of the range. I'm your host, Ben Adelberg, and this is episode 107. Well, it's President's Cup week, and just in case you have buried yourself in a bunker for the last few days, go ahead and remove any sand that might be in your way and get ready for a fun weekend of golf. You know, I've seen, as I'm sure you all have seen, the slow-mo replay of Patrick Reed's sand removal, whether purposefully or inadvertently, twice, while addressing a shot out of a waste area at the Hero World Challenge. I've also seen the footage from the 2015 Hero of him doing pretty much the same thing. Is he a cheater? Was it an accident with no ill intent? Well, only one person really knows the truth, and it's not me. It's probably not you either. Make no mistake, I'm not defending Patrick Reed, but I doubt that we'll ever receive any additional details from Reed on this issue, so I've kind of moved on. I haven't moved on from honor or integrity or respecting the game, but yeah, I'm glad play has started, and I'm hopeful that the matches will be tightly contested in the true spirit of the game. So, as I stated last week, I did a Cyber Monday deal on Instagram to blow out some of the trucker hats and towels. Still have some left over. If you didn't see the deal, go to the website, thebackoftherange.com, and you'll see in the upper right-hand corner, holiday deal. So click there. For $25, you can get a hat, a couple of towels, and a BallMarker. Just trying to get this stuff out of here so I can get new merch for 2020. Also, before getting to this week's episode, you know how I always mention to leave a review in Apple Podcasts? Well, there are 99 reviews posted as of today. So, the first person that leaves a review will be the 100th. I'll send you a towel, and I'll throw in some other swag for you as well. Just another way of me thanking you for your support. And remember, if you keep listening, I'll keep putting out episodes. So this week we visit with another outstanding mid-amateur competing on the national circuit, Patrick Christovich from New Orleans, Louisiana. Patrick has had quite the adventure in golf and has seen it from all sorts of angles. He played his junior golf and did quite well. He went to college but didn't play collegiately. We'll explain that. He was a club pro for a bit. Then he played professionally. And then finally, he had his amateur status reinstated in 2008. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Just another guy that played professionally and then targeted the amateur circuit to take advantage of the everyman trying to compete. Well, not exactly. In fact, Patrick didn't really know much about the amateur side of the game and didn't know what was waiting for him after he ended his pro career. To say he learned quickly would be a bit of an understatement. He's a Louisiana State Amateur Champion, a 3-time Louisiana Mid-Amateur Champion. He was able to capture the Coleman Invitational at Seminole, double-digit USGA appearances. You know, we spoke about his success in the US 4-ball with Secretariat. Yes, you will learn who he calls Secretariat. And since he's a real estate agent, I even asked him about the sustainability of country clubs over the next decade. Kind of an interesting topic, and he was the perfect person to ask. Before we get started, special thanks to the Louisiana Golf Association for helping put this episode together with Patrick. If you're in the state of Louisiana and you're looking for a game, looking for competition, check them out. Go to their website, lgagolf.org. I'll put that link in the show notes as well. So let's get started. Patrick, welcome to the back of the range. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to still be relevant in the golf world.
Oh man, everyone says the same thing, and then you start looking at the resumes of what some of these guys that have been on the podcast have accomplished, and it's like, come on, dude. So, yeah. Well, you're following a pretty big episode for us around here. Serge Hogue was episode 104. Caddy at Pine Valley, caddy at Seminole, who is quickly becoming a cult sensation here at the back of the range. But you can contribute a couple stories because you've spent some time around Serge. You are a Coleman Invitational champion at Seminole, and you've played the Crum Cup at Pine Valley, and you've spent a lot of time around him because of who he caddies for, Scott Harvey. Yeah. So Before we get into your, starting the game and where you've weaved back and forth from the pro ranks to the amateur ranks, you got to share a Pine Valley or you got to share a Seminole story with me about your experiences there.
I think Skip said it best. You go in very intimidated, and you realize it's just a gathering of guys you want to hang out with. I think that when I walked on the property at Pine Valley, I was so taken aback by the whole thing. And then you start getting to know everybody, and you meet more and more people that have been there for so many years, and they start showing you around. And it's such a great golf setting. Coleman the same way. I'd only played it once before I played in the tournament, Seminole. And the same thing, you walk in and you see this pool sitting there by the clubhouse. And you're like, what's the deal with this thing? Does anybody use the pool? Are we going to get to use the pool? But apparently you don't use the pool. That's a big no-no. But yeah, I guess stories from Coleman, all of them revolve around just carnage and triple bogeys and quadruple bogeys and how it happened and how to avoid it, but you can't avoid it. And, I've played a lot of rounds out there with guys that had really good rounds going, and just a simple bounce one way or the other turns 67, 68 into a 74 pretty quickly.
Wow.
It's just happened so fast, but I love both those places. And as I think we talked about before the other day, I'm very golf ignorant, meaning I didn't know about this stuff until I became an amateur again. So it was a very fast learning curve for me to know where to play, what to play in, and how to get in. And getting invited was such an honor. And then winning the Coleman was beyond my wildest expectations. So it's I got to be honest, it's fun walking in that locker room and seeing my name up above the bar. That never gets old.
I can only imagine that must be a nice welcome sight every time you get back down to South Florida and see that. Well, let's not skip over some of the details. You are a real estate agent out of New Orleans, Louisiana, and we're going to get into some New Orleans stuff because I've been there several times, and I know you're a lover of if you're in that town, you got to like to have a good time. So I got to ask you a little bit about that, but. How did you get into playing golf? I know you attended Mississippi State. Yeah. Didn't play on the college golf team, so I got to ask about a little bit of your transition into the professional ranks because I know it's a little bit different than what most people might think. So before we go there, who interested you in the game of golf to start out?
Both my parents played when we were growing up. I was the youngest of three, so my brother played a lot. My sister could have been great if she wanted to. She's an amazing athlete. And I was just there. They had to put me somewhere. So between that and ski school, I never knew how old I was. We always had to lie about my age just to get me into the camps.
Okay.
So, I was 6 years old for probably, at least 3 years. And they just kept throwing me in and with the bigger kids and fell in love with it. We were known locally at our home club, New Orleans Country Club. We would play on the weekends. It didn't matter. Rain, snow, which we never really got, but cold weather, rain, we were out there always playing golf. So, played a lot with my dad, played a lot with my mom and my brother, and just loved it. It was the thing to do. We had a blast doing it.
What was kind of like the, you've played, I'm assuming, junior golf through the Louisiana Golf Association. I know you're involved with them now, playing a lot of events, but what was it like in Louisiana? I know LSU, and you think of some of the people that have come through there and other schools, but I don't, you don't necessarily think of Louisiana as a golfing hotbed. So what was the junior golf experience like?
The junior golf, when I was growing up, we definitely had some good players. I think back in the day when David Toms and Kelly Gibson, Tommy Brennan, those guys their generation was, I think, better. Golf slowed down dramatically as time went, and after Katrina, we lost a lot of our golf. Kelly Gibson's doing an amazing job with his foundation, bringing junior golf back and doing a very good job of it. A lot of good young players coming out of the state now, but I feel like I was in kind of a lull. We did have a lot of active, New Orleans Golf Association tournaments, and it's about 20 kids showing up and a guy in a cart just telling you to tee off. It wasn't overly organized, but it got the job done. And I just fell in love with the competition of it. It was kind of just what I was sort of known for, is being the blonde haired kid that played golf. I enjoyed that aspect of it. I got to meet a lot of my dad's friends. So, as a 10 to 12-year-old playing golf with these, 30, 40-year-old men, it's kind of cool. It's a different thing. And I could beat them every once in a while, and it just kind of took off. So really enjoyed it.
Who's the guy from that circle when you played as a kid that you still keep in touch with, that's kind of maybe not so much your dad or your mom, but maybe like the guy at the club that, could sneak you a beer, or just, that sort of guy? You know who I'm talking about. You know his name right now.
Well, Peppy Cola is his name, and he's kind of the leader of the bunch. And they have a table in the men's locker room that these guys take over. It's a huge round table, and they've etched in it "Table of Knowledge." And the knowledge is not exactly knowledge. It's the table of BS. I mean, it's just a constant barrage of ridiculousness. But I mean, every time I see the guy, you got to give him a hug, and he's out there chipping and putting almost every night. He was the guy. And it was guys like that were nice to me and brought me in and wanted to teach me. He would go play 9 holes with me. And if I do something stupid, he'd advise me on not just golf swing. I could do that, but how to play golf. He was he's one of those guys that led the U.S. Open for a couple minutes.
Okay.
When he senior U.S. Open, I believe. When he qualified for it, he was like first group off, made par type thing. But right. Always a good player locally, and just respect the heck out of the guy. And he helped drive that. And the interesting story about my parents. Dad got down to about a 7 or 8 handicap when we were kids. Mom was a strong 7, maybe a 6. So competition was definitely there. And I think Dad let me win when I was 13 or 14. He let me beat him. I don't know if I beat my mom well into probably high school.
Wow.
Early high school years. She was not giving up the reins on that one. She fought and fought and fought. So I've kind of carried over that mentality a little bit. That, hopefully with my kids, I would love to let them win to make them feel good, but I think I'm going to hold off because I want to keep the pride a little bit longer.
No, absolutely. I'm curious, as I alluded to, you attended Mississippi State University, and people that would look at your amateur resume, the fact that you did play professionally for a while, they're going to immediately assume that you played college golf at Mississippi State, which you didn't do. Instead, you entered the professional golf management program. So my question is this: how do you not play college golf and instead say, I want to enter a program that's going to put me in a position in a career path where I'm not going to get to play a lot of golf?
Yeah, true. Well, at the time, I didn't know I wasn't going to get to play any golf.
Gotcha.
That was but again, I never really followed amateur golf growing up. And in high school, I never played AJGA. We just played some Gulf State stuff, which was a mini version of AJGA, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But I never really knew what it would take or never followed much of college golf at the time. So when I started looking at colleges, I didn't have much of a resume. No coaches were looking at me. Didn't have anybody locally really to advise me on it. So we didn't have a lot of local college players in New Orleans. So, I just decided I was going to go to college and try to walk on. Golf management program made a lot of sense to me just because I love the game. As part of the business school, everything was kind of adding up. Got there and was ready to walk on. And the coach said, basically, good luck, boys. I'm not taking any of you. Hope you play well at the walk-on tournament. So
that's really, that is also something that is not unique to your experience. I've heard that so many times where it's almost like the coach has to have some sort of a day where he lets people come out there, but he says it like, I'm not taking any of you.
And again, I didn't okay, I was a decent high school player. I didn't know how to play golf yet still. I mean, I was still just hitting it as hard as I possibly could, had no practice routine, and just kind of, things just worked out. And I'd win a few tournaments, and I won several of the golf management. We had obviously everybody's playing golf. We had tournaments throughout the year, and I was fortunate to win a lot of those. And then got into, worked full time at a club called Richland in Nashville, Tennessee. Gorgeous Nicklaus course out there. Started playing section events, saw that I could compete there. Always had a drive to, man, I'd love to try professional golf. And some members got some money together and said, all right, here's your shot. And so I was probably 25 or 26 at the time. Moved down to a ranch outside of Orlando and did a winter series and a full season on Hooters Tour. And, life happened. A few injuries, a couple other things happened, and that was it for me. I decided I wanted to make money because I think I was like 100th, 105th on the Hooters money list, and that doesn't do it.
No. So I'm sure you have plenty of Hooters golf stories because the Hooters Tour, not to over romanticize the developmental tour route that a lot of people have to take to get it to play professionally, but it seems like that was the last developmental tour where you can actually make some money and not just pray to break even. I have to go back really quickly to the PGM program. What do you still use today that you learned in the PGA program? Like, how good are you at folding sweaters?
I'm amazing at folding shirts. I do it every time I walk into a shop. And my number one thing is all the arms that come off of the display racks that have hangers on them.
Yeah.
I always move them to the end so that I don't hit my shoulder on that rack walking through the golf shop.
Gotcha.
Everybody pushes them to the inside. I pull them back out, and I can't help myself walking through retail stores and fixing shirts. It is ingrained in my skull. We had a great director of golf at Richland and the head pro. Both of them were customer service guys. You show up an hour to 30 minutes before the first tee time. Everything's ready.
Right.
Just make sure that members want for nothing. And, so now as I travel, I see it at my home course. I'd sometimes do the same thing, but I cut them a break because they'd be annoyed at me if I did it every day.
So if I wanted to really get under your skin, I could call up the assistant pro on manning the phones in the pro shop of a golf course you're about to head to play a tournament. I can just say, all right, destroy the pro shop, screw up the folding, have some stuff looking terrible, and you would walk in there and you're saying you'd probably have a seizure and wouldn't be able to break 80?
I would turn around and walk right back out.
Oh, okay. So you're just leaving. Okay, gotcha.
I got enough OCD issues that messy shop, messy display. I don't have time for that.
Okay,
I'm out.
Perfect. So all right, so that's good to know. I'm going to store that one away.
There you go.
What about lessons? The lesson tee. What is? I mean, the horror stories from the assistant pro when you get that lesson where you just got to work with someone where it doesn't matter what you do. It's bad. I mean, I've had previous guests that have gotten hit in the leg with a shank and getting hit in the head with the backswing. For those people that are actively working on their game, that need to realize that teaching pros are people too. What do you say to those people? Like, here's how bad it can get. I
mean, the number of times I wanted to hand a guy a tennis racket, but then knowing he probably couldn't even swing that either.
Okay.
You just learn patience. The best thing you can hear in January from one of your students is, I've been reading Golf Digest and Golf Magazine all winter long. I think I've figured it out.
Oh,
I got to sign up for a lesson package. This is my year. I'm going to practice. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And just the cash register's ringing in your brain. He's going to be out, 10 lesson package. Sure. Let's go out. I mean, this is a guy that, couldn't make a first serve if he had to, probably couldn't play ping pong, but He wants to be good at golf. I'm like, let's go. That's awesome. I'm here to teach.
And then by February, you don't see that guy anymore, of course.
Oh no, sometimes, but yeah,
Okay.
usually they give up on that plan. They're also going to work out and lose 12 pounds too, right?
Hey,
same thing.
We're all going to win the lotto. So
yeah, exactly.
All right, so Hooters tour, so that your members at the club get some cash together. You go chase the dream. You're on the Hooters tour. You know, injury, life happens, things like that. I mean, look, there's so many guys out there chasing this, and you did it. But do you sometimes just look at that and say, "What in the hell was I thinking?" Or do you look back and say, "Hey, I'm glad I tried it," or like the numbers just don't add up?
No, the numbers never add up, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. I look back, I mean, that was I think, '06 season, and some of my best friendships and longest lasting friendships come from that time. I mean, you meet guys very quickly, and you get your group of friends, and you're traveling site to site, breakfast, practice round. You hope you get paired on their wave so you can do something. And sometimes 3 to 4 guys a room. I mean, it's at the suburban lodge. It's definitely not romantic.
Right.
You make a cut, and I would switch from the dreary inn, and I would go to like a comfort suites.
Whoa.
To have a nice night's sleep every once in a while, maybe even get internet, which we couldn't find very often back then. But yeah, I mean, Nick Gillum is probably one of the guys I became closest with out there. You name them, guys that are all over. Some guys that are still playing out on tour, and you're watching their career. It's kind of fun to say I was with them when, and it's the one name that made me really realize that I was in the wrong place was Teddy Potter.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I was there for one of his seasons where he had just come off missing most of his cuts, if not all of them, that year on whatever the Nike Web Corn Ferry tour was at the time.
Right.
And he comes back out, and again, golf ignorant guy. I didn't know who he was. Everybody out there knew who he was, and he shoots some like 27 or 28 under at this course, I think in Auburn. Sets a scoring record where they actually host a web event at the time. And I kind of looked, and I think I was a couple under. I looked at the guys I was with. I was like, I can't do that. There's no chance. So that was one of the 2 moments that made me say, no mas, let's go start living a real life and figure it out.
There's nothing better than a guy that can shoot the scores like that, and I'm sure you'll understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing better than a guy that can shoot those ridiculous numbers that does not look like someone that can shoot those ridiculous numbers.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, you've talked about this guy a million times. Paul Simpson is the number one. I mean, you walk up to Paul on the range and you're like, all right, I've heard the legend. Let's see it. And he does it. I mean, it's awesome. All athletes have a different shape. I've had that shape for a long time, and we do what we can.
Yeah. All right. So you shut it down on the pro ranks. You get your amateur status back. You're reinstated in 2008, and like you said, so you know nothing about the amateur circuit.
Nothing.
You don't know anything about it. So who was one of the first people that you got to know? The first person you got to know that kind of showed you the ropes of like, okay, so there's the US Am and US Mid Am, and here's where and here are the tournaments, like, because I think a lot of people that you're going to see more and more reinstated amateurs and more people that may not know, like, there are these amazing tournaments out there that you can play these fantastic courses. Who was one of the guys that took you under his wing and said, all right, come with me, let me show you what to do?
Well, there were 2, 3 really. 2 legends, Midam legends in the state, Tommy Brennan and Grady Brame. Tommy introduced me to Grady, but I asked Tommy a lot. I said, Tommy, do you ever play in the Southern Am? Do you ever play in this? Do you ever play in that? And Tommy was great enough to tell me, what he has done, which ones I should look for and whatnot. And very early, I qualified for a Southern Am at Shoal Creek. I think it may have been '09 or something like that. And I'm on the range, and I had Adidas shoes left over from when I was a professional, a mixed bag of golf clubs, an old Nike glove that was literally brown at this point. I mean, I'm scrapping together whatever stuff I could at the time. And I hear this voice on the back of the range saying, basically, "You look like hell." And it's Nick Gillum. He was with FootJoy at the time.
Oh yeah. That's awesome.
And same thing. I hadn't seen him since I left the Hooters tour, really. And we just kind of rekindled that week, and he was nice enough to get me a couple pair of shoes and some gloves, and it all kind of started rolling forward from there. He gave me a lot of advice on where to go. He knew a lot of the good contacts, and from there, every tournament you go to, you meet somebody new, and you're on. Even to this day, I'll play in tournaments, and guys will ask me, "What do I play in? What should I start looking to play in?" And I'll throw their names out to different tournament directors and whatnot. Not saying my word counts for anything,
right.
But I'm happy to help wherever I can, and that's what this group does for each other. It's kind of fun. I was talking to Skip just the other day about another golf tournament I may want to play in. So it's it's an interesting group of friends that came together because of a silly little obnoxious game, and we're probably closer than we are with our high school friends, or college friends.
Well, because you share the same, that's kind of, and for people listening to the podcast, you share this obsession with golf. And then also I'd imagine you guys can share more because you're at that level where you want to compete against each other, but you also share the same passion. So like a common argument or about maybe mid-amateur golf for reinstated amateurs is like, hey, these guys used to play for money. It was their livelihood. They got to feed their families. How the hell do these guys really get their heart rate up for a trophy and a $500 pro shop credit? So to that, what would you say?
I mean, if you're not puckering, don't tee it up. If you're not afraid to do something terrible off the first tee box, then I don't see any point in playing.
All right, I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get that on a T-shirt. Let me show. Okay, if you're not puckering up, don't tee it up. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I can't tell you the last time I've teed up in a golf tournament and not been nervous on. It's not only the first tee shot; it's the first putt. You just gotta get through it, and then something good happens. You're like, all right, here we go. We're off. It's just the way I operate. I think you have to have a little, I wouldn't call it fear necessarily. It's a lot of the adrenaline, the excitement of doing it. And especially when you start playing well and have some success, then it gets even more and more. You're like, all right, I've beat these guys before. I should beat them again. Let's do this again. Let's keep going and going. And as I've gone, I've learned that maybe I can't beat them as easily as I thought I could anymore.
Yeah.
But, I love that aspect. It's fun. There's always a different challenge. If I'm 34th going into the final round, I'm going to think, all right, I know I got to shoot 66, 67 to get in that top 15 number, and you just got to have that little bit. The second I lose that, I'm on the 4-ball tour and I'm done with competitive golf. But as long as I have that drive, I'm going to keep going. And, I love these guys we play with. You want everybody to do well. I congratulate my friends when they win. Naturally, I want to be the guy holding the trophy, but if somebody else wins, great for them. I'm pulling for them, happy for them. It means what they're doing is working. And that's just kind of the group we've gotten together. If there's a crisis in somebody's home situation, we try to get together and do what we can for them. It's amazing the connections you make from the game of golf, guys that you never would have met otherwise in different parts of the country that are willing to help even people they don't know, like your own friends from home. It's you just reach out. Oh, I know a guy out in San Francisco. Let me give him a call. He might be able to set you all up here. Stuff like that. And it's all because, made a few extra putts.
So, I mean, I'm looking at some of the things you've been able to do on the amateur side. Obviously mentioned winning the Coleman, winning the Timuquana Cup and Birmingham and all these. And now we're not even talking about USGA things. So of all these incredible places you've played, Pine Valley, Seminole, if you had a chance to talk to a handful of the guys that are toiling on mini tours right now and explain to your golf schedule and what you get to do, how many of them are you think they're going to be like, man, I'm in the wrong business. I got to go chase that Midam life.
It comes up often. There's a few guys that I'll still text. I think Sam Burns had his first win. Was it last year? And I texted Sam. I was like, look, bud, it's going to take you forever to be a mid-am if you keep playing like this. You're never going to get back out here with us. You're going to be a pro forever. There's a David Tom's son, Carter, I've gotten to know over the years, just playing and stuff. And I asked him what he's doing when he's done playing. And now Carter's playing a lot better than the first time I met him. But, he kind of jokes about, I can't wait to be a mid-am. And you'd be amazed how many of these college players that I'm fortunate enough to play with in these tournaments, Southern AM, US AMs and stuff. And some of them just don't want to go through the gauntlet of the mini tours. And they just want to come, they want to get a chance to play Seminole and Pine Valley and Birmingham and some of these, and Timuquana, some of these amazing courses we get to play every year. You look at the lineup, if you include now the courses that the 4-ball gets to and
Philly
and the mid-am and everything. Yeah. Come on. This is getting to spend a week out or 10 days playing Wingfoot a couple of years ago for the 4-ball. We're just laughing every time we walk into that locker room that we get rights to it for the week and then keep winning. You stay out there longer.
Yeah,
you can't beat it.
So would you say it's fair that, obviously you're playing for trophies. Pro shop credits don't mean anything, but you're playing for trophies. But are you almost also just trying to get to these courses just to check them off your list? Is that also a draw as well?
Yeah, certainly. You want to play well early so you get invited early in your career and you eventually get invited to the top events. But at first, I guess I sort of thought of it as checking the box, like I'll get to play, one of these courses done. But after you do it, you really want to win on that golf course.
Yeah. Okay.
Like you want to be able to feel some pride. Every time somebody mentions that golf course, you're not a member, never get a chance to be a member, but you're like, wow, I won something there. And it just, I don't know, it's a little bit of pride, or even not necessarily even winning, just competing on some of these courses.
Yeah.
It's such a cool thing that I never thought I'd do, because the courses, no offense to the Hooters Tour 06 schedule, but it wasn't.
Well, this is the first time that the Drury Inn has been mentioned on this podcast, but and I know exactly what you're talking about. I've stayed in some beaters before that you're just like, man, I should have brought my own sheets. But
yeah, exactly.
But so you mentioned 4-ball, and I got to ask you a couple of questions on 4-ball, because you've had some tremendous success playing. The international 4-ball. You've partnered with Scott Harvey. You've partnered with Garrett Rank, who just won the Western Am this year. But before I get to that, I know we've kicked around this little topic of Pro Shop credit. You're a veteran. What is the veteran move with Pro Shop credit?
Oh, it's if I can't find Christmas gifts for my wife in there, it's the essentials. I don't need golf balls. I don't need clubs. You buy some of the fun stuff, sure, but I'll buy the expensive underwear. I'm buying anything that's comfortable. I don't need golf stuff.
Gotcha.
Rangefinder was a big one.
Rangefinders are good.
I had a new one every year, because not all the events offer shop credit, but a few of them did. And and now actually there's one event where it's reloaded my Blazer collection in the closet. So they give out a lot of shop credit. So Peter Millar, come my way.
There you go.
Once a year.
All right, so let's talk 4-ball. You've partnered with Garrett Rank at the U.S. 4-ball. You've made multiple. I think you made about 3. Made the quarterfinals, I believe, 3 consecutive times.
Semis, then quarters. The 3 years we did it.
Yeah, so you've had tremendous success with him. Talk to me about how these 4-ball partnerships form. Is it just like, hey, what are you doing for this? Need a partner? how does some of these 4-ball partnerships form? How have you found success with certain people, and maybe, examples of how you have not had success and had to, break up with a partner? Like, can you walk me through a little bit about that?
Sure. Garrett and I met at Birmingham. We actually ended up sharing a room together at a host's house, 2 twin beds, and there's probably 6 or 8 other guys in the house. That group of friends has stayed together and still play practice rounds together. It's pretty remarkable. We still talk to each other, but Garrett and I we might even played together that year, hit it off real well. Both have the same kind of competitive drive. And it worked out that we're both in the top 400 at the time. So, which means we'd be exempt. Yeah. And that's probably the biggest hurdle with most players, is trying to find out where and when you can qualify together, if possible. Sometimes it's just not. Last year I had to go out to the qualifier by myself because Garrett had a game the night before in Pittsburgh, and the next day was in Montreal, and there was no way to physically get there from where he could have played maybe 8 holes if he'd tried to fly to New Orleans for the qualifier.
So you did the wait a minute. So you did the qualifier for U.S. 4-ball by yourself?
Oh yeah, had to try it.
And any luck?
Oh yeah. Well, it was good for the first few holes. I birdied the first hole. I hit it to like a foot, and I just started laughing because the guys in my group were like, "Are you really going to do this?" I'm like, "I don't know. That 15-year-old in Hawaii did it. I'm 40. Why can't I do it? And then, things went south, doubled 18, and it was over. But it was fun trying because, talk about a green light to just go for everything. And it was kind of fun. I had a lot of 5-foot par putts coming back, so I wasn't leaving the first one short. And, thought I had my chances, but it was fun to try. I had to give it a shot. Because once I get there, if I had made it, I'm bringing Secretariat on board with me.
Yeah, well, Garrett Rank, for people that don't know, Garrett Rank is Midam, runner-up in the 2012 U.S. Midam, just won the Western Amateur this year. I can't even remember the last time a Midam won that tournament. And he is, for everyone that kind of follows amateur golf, and you ever see an article pop up about an NHL referee, that's Garrett Rank. So you're the jockey on top of Secretary is what you're saying.
That's what I try. The funny thing about us, and going back to the first one everybody's asking, is how does a guy from New Orleans, an old guy, and I think it was Curtis Strange or maybe it's Azinger that year on the telecast, called me a grizzled old veteran and called Garrett the chiseled young stud.
Oh wow, that's just a kick. That's just a kick in the dick, isn't it?
Yeah, that burned a little bit, being the old fat guy with the hockey player. So, but I knew my role. I was there to try to make him laugh and try to birdie where I can, but make sure I make par. And we wanted to beat each other in every hole, and it became a fun thing to, if he hits it in there close. Well, actually, I would probably be hitting first in the fairway because he's a mile longer than me. But if I'd hit it in there close, he'd want to hit it closer. And if you're outside the guy, boy, you want to drop the bomb so that your putt wins the hole. And, I'm getting a high five from my partner, but I'm also laughing like, ha, that was mine. And it was that mentality between the two of us. Like I said, we're happy if our friends win. But sometimes it takes me a minute to get over the fact that I didn't win. And I'm going to text you the next day. I'm happy for you, but I'm also mad that I didn't accomplish it. And I can't shake that mentality. But Garrett shares a similar thing, and we had a great run. 2 unfortunate trips in the semis where we had, 3 and 4. At one point we had a 6-up lead at Wingfoot, and the kids birdied 10 out of the last 11 holes on us.
Oh God!
To come back and win. I think at Pinehurst, I had my back. I threw my back out in stroke play and was limping around, just doing everything I could to try to salvage pars and birdies. And Garrett was playing well, and we got buzzsawed on the last 7 holes. Same thing. These guys just, backs against the wall, came out strong, and we went extra holes and lost in the first extra. But I wouldn't trade those 4-ball memories. This is grind. I mean, it is a absolute grind for match play 4-ball golf, especially at that level.
Okay, so the U.S. 4-ball, I've looked at basically all of these kids that have won this thing recently. I know that Nathan Smith, Todd White won the first one, but just, is this tournament basically just going to be, if you look at the numbers, it's going to be dominated by high school and college kids, isn't it?
I mean, that's what everybody thinks, and a lot of the players see the caliber of college player coming in, the rankings of some of the high school teams that are paired together. But Midams have certainly, I think, have dominated the event. If they're not winning, they're at least making it to the finals every year, it seems like. And it's, we have absolute confidence that we know what we can do. And we know that they don't know who we are, with the exception of, Scott Harvey's and a couple other guys who are well known. But, when Garrett and I walk out on the range, they don't know us. They see a couple old guys. Garrett obviously looks different than most old guys, but to them, he's an old guy. He's in his 30s now, I think. I'm in my 40s. I've got a terrible back. I'm always limping and stretching and doing goofy things that old people do, if I even hit balls that day. And they're looking at us walking to the tee like, good, we got the old guys. We'll cruise through who we play in the next round. And,
right.
Hold on a second. we know a little bit more. We're here. So usually sneak up on them, and we had a lot of success doing that. And knowing, Garrett actually said this after he won the Western. We were talking, and he's like, walking up and down the range, well, yeah, these guys know me, but they don't know what I can do. And we had that same mentality. Like, they may have seen our names in a few Midam leaderboards and a few U.S. Midams and stuff, but they have no idea what we're capable of. They just see old guys, and that helps us. That's an advantage because we know what we can do. We know what we know, and it worked out. You just have the confidence to do it, and we beat them.
Interesting.
And, it certainly is becoming a younger, stronger man's game, but we've got a little more experience, and fortunately we were able to rely on that for a while. And that's why I keep playing in some of the events against college kids. I feel like maybe some experience will count for a few shots, but it doesn't help with yardage. That's the problem.
I've seen a lot of college players where if they don't have it that day, they just kind of shut down a little bit. I mean, maybe not at the elite level, or maybe at the elite level that you're talking of, but it sounds to me that the Midam is a little bit more capable of grinding out something and really sticking to it, as opposed to because you can't expect that you're going to have your A game every single day.
I mean, there's you never know what's going on in the mind of a Midam. Is a Skip Berkmeyer famous quote. And you may start off because you just got off a phone call trying to negotiate a contract in the parking lot, and then you're 20 minutes till you tee off, so your brain's not there. You shoot 40, and then you pull off 30, 32 on the back. It's just what Midams have to do sometimes. You got to scrap it and figure out how to at least get it back to level as best you can. We've all done it. We've all birdied our last 3 holes, or 3 out of the last 4, something like that. So I know that that's sitting there. Whether it happens or not that day, sometimes it's out of my control. But if I turn at 3 and 4 over, start over. Maybe get it back. I know I can do it. I've done it before. I've turned them into under par rounds, and just got to pull back those experiences and try to do them again.
Well, you mentioned, obviously that you do have a day job. You mentioned real estate. Now, you're in New Orleans, so I before I let you go, I want to get your take. I don't think I've ever asked this question on the podcast. I've kind of stuck to things that happen on the golf course as opposed to the actual community around it. But you're a real estate agent. Talk to me about how sustainable the country club lifestyle is going to be in the next 10 to 20 years.
Country club lifestyle for me in the next 10 to 20 years?
No. I don't mean like you. I'm talking about like the idea of people that are in their 40s right now, or 50s right now, or even 30s. Like, do you see people doing the, buying the house or getting the country club membership? And do you see that as something that's sustainable for the next 10 to 20 years?
It is a little scary. You look around a lot of these clubs, and most of the members are older, and their average ages are like in their 60s, 70s.
Yeah.
I look to I call it the mini generation, the 40s versus the 30s. It's a big deal, that 10-year difference in just how the marriages work. And it's scary. The younger generation, they're just not playing as much golf. Both husband and wife are working. So once you have kids, you definitely don't have time for golf, depending on the job. It's a little doom and gloom, but I think it's always found a way to correct itself. And, we're fortunate in New Orleans. We don't have a lot of golf. So where there is good golf, that's, people put their focus there and make sure that it survives. And hopefully, I love New Orleans Country Club. I've been out there since I was a little kid. So we have a good outlook for it. Nationwide, that's a bigger question I can handle.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I thought I was just curious your thoughts, because you're in that business, and it is definitely a challenge. I know there's a lot of people listening that either have a membership or they're maybe thinking about one, and what does golf look like in the next decade or two?
I think that we've had so many courses that have shut down over the years, and so memberships are kind of being consolidated to the better courses. So that is back when I was in the golf business, it seems like there was a golf course going up every week somewhere, back in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And so, the slowdown of those being built and the resurrection of some of these older ones and the improvements is a definite positive. Just got to pony up a little extra, drive a less provocative car, and play golf instead.
There you go. Nice. Yeah. That's a good idea. All right. So talk to me about New Orleans. You've been there. Been there since you were a kid. I've been there a handful of times. I know you're a wine guy, so there's got to be a wine story when you've been maybe a couple too many glasses, one evening, and then early morning tee time. What is your best round of golf hungover?
Oh, best round of golf hungover. That has to be, actually, that was a Starkville story. Wasn't from New Orleans, but I learned how to drink while I grew up here. I had to have a underclassman tee my ball up for me on the range so I could hit 5 balls, just so I could go to the range. And the PAT, the player's ability test, is a test you had to pass in order to get your PGA certifications. The year before, I failed it, which was pretty embarrassing, because I think you have to shoot 77, 78 in 2 consecutive rounds, and course set up easy. But it's tough knowing the numbers there. And tell you what, even got to the first tee, couldn't even get it on the tee, so I had to hit iron off. Played the round of my life. I think I finished started out shooting 30 on the front, something like that, and finished with another one similar on my last 9. But having somebody else tee your ball up for you so you can take a few practice swings is not my proudest moment, but it happens.
Well,
definitely happens.
That's still pretty good. Cafe Du Monde in New Orleans, I'm sure it's okay. Tourist trap, or is it actually something that's worthwhile?
Definitely a tourist trap because of the line, but it's worth doing if you can go. It's they've got a couple of satellite shops around the city that not as bad of a line, but definitely a bag full of powdered sugar and some fried bread, and then a nice coffee to go with it. You can't beat it.
There you go. Yeah, I've had more than my fair share of those. I think maybe 6 in one sitting is kind of the most I've gotten to.
That's a pretty good number. It's not a bad way to start.
Yeah, it's not bad. We're gonna get you out of here with fashion. I know you are a big proponent, and you're a big believer in the importance of white belts. Oh man.
What an abomination of the fashion world.
Okay, so
there's nothing worse.
All right, so when did your hatred of this start? And so sell me on the fact of why nobody should wear a white belt anymore.
I mean, where it started is, I guess, when I started playing amateur again. You're looking at all the guys doing it on tour, and it kind of works for some of these guys. But then you go out to your local club and you see a 60-year-old with a body that doesn't support fashion, and he's wearing the white belt now. And then, you know, everybody had it, just kind of jumped the shark so fast. And it just became like this annoying thorn in my side that I'd see it all over the place, and kind of associated with the young college player or the high school guy, even then. And I'd meet some of these kids at the tournaments. I'd get to know their parents, and it became such a shtick that even their parents were coming up apologizing that their son was wearing the belt that day. And I'll never forget playing the Jones Cup one year, and I'm 2 fairways over from a kid, and he's lifting up his sweater, because you got to wear 7 sweaters to play that tournament.
Yeah.
But he's lifting up his sweater just to show me his white belt, just to get a rise out of me.
Oh my gosh.
And I mean, it's just, I mean, I've had that stamped on my wedge for, I don't know how many years now. But yeah, the white belt, just let it die, let it go. I mean, bell bottoms is the only next thing I could see coming back, but I'd rather see that than a white belt walking around.
All right, so you've stated your case. You've made your case and your strong conviction known of the abomination, and you're supporting the elimination of white belts. All right,
Yes.
So let me see if I can tear you down a little bit.
Uh-oh.
If I got you around on Augusta National, but you had to wear a white belt, would you do it?
Wow.
Yeah,
that'd be tough.
yeah, we get a little dirty here at the back of the range.
I'll say this, like, we'll all throw out random bets throughout the year, and betting in golf, you know, is a long honored tradition.
There's no
but
gambling
there's one thing I would never, ever agree to a bet on, and that's if I lose, I'd have to wear a white belt.
Okay, so
I would bet anything before that. I just couldn't. I can't do it now. It's just become a thing. But for Augusta, I'm going to swallow my pride, and I'll throw it on for a little while.
That was quick. That was easy.
Yeah.
All right, how about this one? If one of your two boys makes a hole-in-one, but he's wearing a white belt, are you going to be in the picture with him, or is it just going to? I mean, are you going to ask? Is the photo going to be from the waist up? What about that?
First, I'd have to call his mother and find out why she put him in that belt, because Dad definitely didn't get him dressed that day.
Okay.
Secondly, I'll take the photo from the waist up.
Okay. All right.
But I don't know. They have to learn for themselves a little bit, but I'll push my influence when it comes to that. Definitely daddy influence there.
Okay. All right. So you're going to sell your soul for Augusta, but with your kids, the hard stance.
Yeah.
Okay. It's good. All right. So the third one I came up with is I'm going to give you a sponsor's exemption into the Zurich Classic. It's the 4-ball tournament on the PGA Tour. You can take anyone you want there with you as your partner. You get to keep the cash for the week. You got a letter from the USGA that says, hey, fine, just 1 week only. You get a reprieve. You're going to keep your amateur status afterwards. You got to wear a white belt all week.
Oh, I thought you were asking me who I'd take, and that's an even more dangerous question. But I don't know. That's a lot of TV time for people to see it, and that's a lot of flack. But to keep the money, if I get to pick my own partner, yeah, money in Augusta go a long way.
See, I knew I knew I could break it. And I was going to say, like, do you take Garrett? But if you take Garrett, he has to wear a referee jersey the whole time, and everyone thinks that you're on the clock the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, I might go for somebody a little younger. GR's getting up there. He's got that gray hair. There's some young guys out there that looking for a shot. So we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, I will.
I'll wait. As soon as USGA sends me the letter, we'll go. We'll review the question again.
I'm not going to force you to pick someone, but yeah, let's. I really do appreciate you joining this week here at the back of the range. I know that you're going to have a great 2020. Sounds like someone's going to be lucky to have you as their U.S. 4-ball partner, and I know you got lots of tournaments on the calendar. So I'm glad you're able to join us. Let's do it again soon. And Patrick, thanks for joining me here at the back of the range.
Again, thanks for having me. Letting people, reminding them that I actually still play golf is always nice. So, happy to do it anytime. I appreciate it and look forward to hearing it.
And there you have it. Special thanks to Patrick Christovich for joining us this week. Thanks to the Louisiana Golf Association for helping put this together. Don't forget, lgagolf.org. Get some information on them. Follow the podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All the episodes, everything is available at thebackoftherange.com. So we'll see you again next week for another episode here at the Back of the Range.